Imagine yourself in 1968. Beatlemania has hit full effect. They've already released Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. These were generally happy albums and happy songs. Other bands, such as Pink Floyd, were making their first strides into the music world, but sounding as if they came from a far-out alien planet. And then, one day, a little accident to the fingertips of Tony Iommi's fingers would cause a huge change in the sound of rock forever. On this episode of Noteworthy, Black Sabbath. The band was officially formed in 1969 when Iommi, then guitarist of Jethro Tull, left the band to join Ozzy Osbourne and crew. The band first played using the name Earth, but Ozzy hated that name. They chose the name Black Sabbath after the movie by the same name. In a time where love, flowers, and hippies were all the rage, Sabbath took up the duty to write music that sounded like the devil's own composition. The album with the same name was released in 1970, and from there, Sabbath took off like a bat out of hell, or rather maybe a bat into hell, since this is Sabbath that we're talking about. From the very first opening notes of the first song, also named Black Sabbath, you can hear exactly where half a century of metal can cite their biggest influences. Again, imagine yourself early 1970s. You've heard The Who's My Generation.
Just because we get around.
Led Zeppelin's Communication Breakdown. Or Whole Lotta Love. You know these songs, and you like these bands. But then, a friend gives you Sabbath's self-titled first album, and you hear this. This is not like anything you've heard before. This isn't The Who or Zeppelin. This is extremely dark and evil. And this is where you can make an argument that Black Sabbath birthed the heavy metal genre with their debut. It seems as if from here on out, the sound just got louder. Not necessarily in terms of volume, but just the sheer weight of the sound. The crunch and the bite of the sound is just heavy. Rock and roll had reached a new level of loud once Sabbath came around. I would argue that the Beatles are to rock and roll as Sabbath is to metal. The Beatles went on to influence everybody and their mama when it came to pop rock, and Sabbath led everyone who wanted to take it to 11.
Make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder.
These go to 11.
Without Sabbath, you could argue that there wouldn't be any Metallica, Iron Maiden, Pantera, Slayer, Dio, or even Anthrax. And that's just a short list of the dozens of bands who can cite Sabbath as a direct influence. Sabbath's career has been a rocky one at times, but overall they've been one of the greatest bands ever. They've helped form an extremely popular genre. Without them, there would be dozens of bands who wouldn't even exist. Such a long legacy and influential career truly makes Sabbath noteworthy. Thanks for watching.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning.